let's move on to the preview for the San Francisco Giants series. I think this is a series that we talked about a couple other series being must wins. I don't know if this is a must win series just because the Giants are playing really well. They've been looking really good lately. Currently tied for first place with the Dodgers as we record this episode. But this should be a fun series. Got Yu Darvish on Friday, Blake Snell on Saturday, and I'm expecting Joe Musgrove on Sunday. So probably the top three pitchers in this rotation right now. And I mean, I'm excited. The Giants have Logan Webb on Friday, so that'll be a good matchup against Darvish. I think that's the game you win. But I'll start with you, Isaac. What are your initial thoughts on this series?
Yeah, I wouldn't say this is a must-win series, but this is definitely a big series. The Giants right now are currently ranked ahead of us in the NL West standings, and it's April, and we're not going to say the Giants are some sort of big contender now because I think as the season goes, the rankings are going to pan out. We're going to see us and the Dodgers first and second, and whatever the heck the Giants, the Rockies, and the Diamondbacks are all doing doesn't matter. But there's definitely a big series. The Giants have a really good pitching staff right now. They're kind of an under-the-radar staff. Gosman and Desclafani are both pitching really well right now, and I'm pretty sure we're going to see them both. I'm not entirely sure. I know we're going to see All right, so, they're pitching some very good games, and hopefully our pitching staff comes out and shows that, I think we're third or second in ERA right now. So this is going to be a toe-to-toe pitching matchup. Hopefully our bats stay alive, and I'm very excited to see this series. I know a couple Giants fans and obviously us as Padre fans, we're going to have like this it's not going to be a big Dodgers-Padres rivalry, but it's going to be a small Giants-Padres rivalry, not because of the talent, but just because we're still in the same division. We're still competing against each other. So it's going to be a fun series.
The Giants always tend to be a little bit scrappy against the Padres. So, it's always going to be one of those games where it can go either way. But I'm going to go ahead and say this is a must-win series. We got to knock the Giants out of first. And if we can just take 2 of 3, it helps us climb the standings a little bit more. It helps the Giants drop down to probably where they should be by the end of the season. But we can't drop too many more series while the Dodgers are out here winning. We have to keep winning. We gotta keep winning while they're losing. It can't be the other way around. It can't keep winning while we lose. It's got to be the other way around if we want to take the West, because I really don't want to play that wild card spot because, there's a lot of good teams out there in the NL that have a lot of good pitchers. And if we have to play a 1-game spot against like DeGrom, even though the Mets can't play, behind DeGrom, DeGrom never gets run support. DeGrom's still a scary pitcher to face in the playoffs. So I'd rather just win the division and he'd be like, okay, cool. We have a series to play instead of 1 game.
And real quick about those ERAs. So currently the Padres are first, the Giants are second, and the Dodgers are third. Love to see it. NL West representing the top pitchers in baseball right now, apparently. But it's and then also real quick, the Mets are fourth, but it's not exactly translating on DeGrom's end as he also lost a game yesterday. So I had to bring up DeGrom real quick because that's just something that I think every baseball fan wants to talk about. But I think this series could be talked about like a must win. I definitely think, I don't know if it's must win yet, just because it's April, May kind of time. And I think those must-win series are deeper into the year, especially if it's really tight come August and September. But it's definitely an important series, and I would love to see them win it. I mean, I think that this is one that you should hope to win 2 out of 3, just because we talked about the Giants are playing really well. I definitely think that they'll win a game, at least one. I mean, they won the last series when these two teams matched up, so I think going out there winning the series would be a big just overall win for the Padres, kind of get some momentum. Next series, Pittsburgh, and then they have the Giants again the weekend after that. So you beat the Giants in these next 2 series, you take 2 out of 3 both times. I think that would be viewed as a massive win for the team. But I wouldn't be surprised too if they end up taking only 1 out of 3. I think this Giants team is playing really hot right now and definitely shouldn't be overlooked. I think we've overlooked a couple of these teams going in some of these series. We were talking, I think last series, I think we did a good job of not overlooking the Diamondbacks, just talking about, hey, these two, Merrill Kelly has pitched really good against the Padres, and then he came out and did that, even though he was currently holding a 7 ERA at the time. But he had looked good against the Padres in the past, and we kind of brought that up. This series as well, I think we might see a couple games where it's you got to win a 2-1 game just because you got to have your guys situationally hit. you gotta have, when the guy's on second in the 7th inning and it's 1-1, you got to bring him in this Giants series. I think we've seen that throughout the time that the Padres and Giants have met up, and in at least both of our lives, I think, just because they've consistently been teams that scrape out wins. And the Padres are built a little bit differently now, but you still got to win against these scrappy teams. You got to win those one-run games. So if they're able to do that, I think that this can be a successful series, but I think that'll be the big question moving into this game.
Like you said, it's not exactly a must-win series, but it is a big series. It's a fun series, Dodgers Padres is always going to be not Dodgers Padres, sorry. Giants Padres is always a fun series. Even if the Giants don't exactly have the greatest of talent, they're always a very scrappy team. And we made a video on the Padres and the Giants potentially having a rivalry in the future, and we just brought up how much of a scrappy team they are, because every time we play them, they don't get spanked. Like they hang with us throughout the whole entire series. And we saw last series. Mateo got a ball hit off his, I think it was his glove, went over the fence, and we lost. Not off that, but we lost that series 1-2. I think we all really talk about something we're looking forward to. And I think what I'm looking forward to is just seeing if Fernando keeps this up, seeing how if our offense keeps this up. And I think, the most exciting part of this Padres team is going to be the offense this year. So very excited to see that. And hopefully the pitching staff hangs with them too.
I think it's going to be a fun little series. The pitching's going to be great. These 3 games are probably going to be all tight pitching matchups. The Giants pitchers have been pitching like crazy. Disclefane just threw like a shutout the other night. Then Gossman threw like another 7 innings, like 9 strikeouts. Those two have been performing like really, really well for the Giants. So if we can just knock them out in the 6th, maybe 5th inning at most, then we win. If not, those relievers, sometimes it's hit and miss with the Padres. They either tear up relievers or, they just fold. So just if we get the starting pitching out, we win. If we don't, it's going to be a rough ride.
So then let's just wrap it up real quick here. Who is your guys, like the guy that you thinks needs to have the best game of the series for this to end up being a 2-1 Padres series victory? In my opinion, that guy is Blake Snell. Hasn't won a game yet as a San Diego Padre, currently having a 3.92 ERA. He's looked good, but the command has definitely been the biggest issue so far, and he hasn't been able to go long into games. So I think that if he comes out, if he can pitch 6 innings and keep the Padres in that game on Saturday, I think that's the guy that's got to do it this week. He's got to come out there, have a very good performance, and I think he should have a performance. This Giants lineup isn't anything crazy, not to overlook them or anything, but Blake Snell should be able to come in there and pitch a very, very quality game. And hopefully I'd be really happy if he could come in there, pitch 6 shutout innings. I think that'd be a huge win. I think that'd bring a lot of momentum to the Padres side. But who are your guys that need to really excel in this series?
So in terms of the pitching staff, I'm also going to go with Blake Snell. He hasn't gotten a win as a San Diego Padre yet. I don't know if he's gotten a loss. He might have gotten a loss in that Dodgers game. No loss. So he's 0-0 right now. So, this would be a good time for him to pick up his first W. But that's just pitching-wise. I think offensively, the guy that, other than Fernando, that's just an obvious. The guy that needs to have a good series, Will Myers. Will Myers is struggling a little bit, but when Will is on, we're constantly putting up 6, 7, 8 runs because he can mash. And whenever he's mashing, he brings in those 2-run bombs, 3-run bombs. So I'm going to go with Will Myers. Hopefully he bounces back a little bit. And, I'm going to be rooting for it because we're all huge Will Myers fans. We love Will Myers. I'm sure every Padres fan does. So hopefully he breaks out again this series.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm hoping Snell goes 6, but you never know. Tinkler likes pulling him early for some reason. The one guy that I'm looking forward to break out, we haven't really seen him because he was injured all year, Austin Nola. Looking forward to see how he handles the pitching staff, and I want to see him, at least tear the cover off the ball this weekend. He may not, hit for average, but as long as he makes solid contact, it's always a good thing going forward.
Alrighty, so I think that's going to do it for this preview, and hopefully the Padres take 2 out of 3. If you're a Giants fan listening, sorry for a little bit of the Padres bias here, but it is a Padres channel. And also, if you're a Giants fan and just want to kind of hear someone kind of rooting for it on your side, we do have an episode a while back talking about a potential Padres-Giants rivalry with Leo Luna, who's a really big, he's a really big 49ers and Giants guy in the social media. So make sure to check that out. But I think that's going to do it for today's episode. So thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll talk to you guys soon.